Hey everybody, welcome back to another installment of Project Pointless. You can see that the Pandemonium is lacking its body, and that's because we're working on it. So hopefully by the end of this episode, we're going to have a painted body for this car. I did want to take a moment and thank someone for helping me with this project. Enjoy RC on Shapeways sent me these cookies. I am very excited to try these. Oh, and yeah, also he sent this. But he sent these cookies. So that's what my family has been eyeballing for quite some time. But before I opened them, I did want to send out a big thank you. Just real quick, I didn't mean to throw that aside. So this was his personal Graupner Pinto. It's not a Pandemonium, although they are the same car. And there are quite a helping of good parts on this car to help out with Project Pointless here. So I'm really excited about that. Also, I do plan on using both of these cars for the buyer's guide on the Pandemonium / Graupner Pinto, because I do believe that there's very little information on either of these cars. And much like this one here, this one too, if you can, I'm going to hold the rear axle in place. This one also suffers from the rear wheel steering. The first thing I want to do is take a look at the body and prep it for paint. This car was missing its auxiliary lamps, so I've got some of those, but obviously they're missing, so I need to take them off. The roll bar just pops out of these two holes right here, slides out of those slots, so that's easy to remove. And fortunately, the body is unpainted. This will make it a lot easier to prep. We do need to peel off all the decals, and in some cases, decals come off kind of easy. In other cases, you'll find that a lot of adhesive sticks to the plastic, and that's kind of a disaster. I don't know what this is going to be like. Here was just peeling. And it looks like, oh, it looks clean. All right, good. So there's really nothing stuck to it. A little bit of adhesive stuck right in there, but overall it's not too shabby. When it comes to the adhesive, you're going to have to remove it. I use Simple Green or something that's capable of removing the stickiness. You cannot primer over that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and peel off all the rest of the decals. All the stickers are pulled off the body, and unfortunately there's a lot of residue like this. If you can hear that, this whole area is a lot of leftovers on this, so we're going to use some of that adhesive remover, and then once that's done we can sand it and prime the car. I did finish removing all of that sticky residue. I tried WD-40 and Goo Gone and a number of orange oils, and none of it in any way helped. What I ended up spraying the car down with was oven cleaner, and after about 4 or 5 hours of just kind of sitting out there in the shade, it just fell off. So for this application, that oven cleaner worked great. Now that I can look at the body, you can see that it's in remarkably good shape. You know, the roof area is great, and that's probably a testament to the roll bar, which protrudes quite high, so when the car does flip over, it really doesn't touch that roof. There is a very small crack right here which will fill up. The screw in the front that holds the body down has kind of gone too far, so we've got to fill that hole. And at the rear, there's quite a bit of chipping along the trailing edge of that spoiler. So I'm probably just going to kind of try and fill some of these in and maybe sand down the sharp edge to clean it all up. So I'm going to apply some super glue on all these areas right now. So I'm going to use this Gorilla super glue. I really like this stuff. Okay. Just about like that. And with this crack, I'm going to come from the inside over here. We'll do a little bit of movement here. And lastly, along the trailing edge, I'm just going to fill some glue in these little pockets. This glue doesn't want to really come out very easily, but that also means it's kind of thick. And this thicker super glue is nice because it doesn't run. So we'll just kind of do that. I'm not too concerned about these ends over here, because that I'm just going to kind of reshape and clean up. All right, let's let this dry. Some of these areas might require a couple of coats. I'm going to flip it over. Remember that when you are using this super glue technique, this stuff dries harder than steel, I swear. And it's really hard to get off, really hard to sand, so only put it where you need it. Otherwise, you'll be there complaining for quite some time there. All right. There are some areas that will require some more, but that's okay. This is a layering technique. And I'm set it outside to dry. The super glue has been applied. You can see it's filling up the, well, not the entire hole, but at least the hole in the surface, because there is a threaded boss underneath. Patched up this crack here, and there's a considerable amount of super glue here at the trailing edge of the wing. Now, because the car is white, if I sand this, it'll be very hard to see. So what I'm going to do is continue sanding the body. You can see I've used some 400 and 600 grit sandpaper on the entire shell, and this will allow me to scuff up the surface so that the paint adheres nicely, and then we can better see what imperfections are there, and then we'll see a better discrepancy between the white body and the gray primer. As you can see here, I went ahead and super glued the body where all the deformations were, and then I primered it. So next I'm going to go ahead and start sanding, and there's also that one in the front. All right, everything has been sanded down. I started off with 220 and finished off with 800 grit. It went 220, 600, then 800, and then actually pretty impressive. I'm surprised that hole came out as well as it did. Apparently there was a little deformation behind it. Found some issues with the roof. And lastly, the back of the car, I'm really impressed. The edge is quite crisp, and this was pretty rough before. And again, it's a little bit hard to see because it's all sanded. We'll wash it off and spray down again with some more primer. All right, as you can see, the primer has been applied. The body came out pretty darn good given the fact that it was covered in a lot of road rash. So I'm pretty happy with how it came out. Let's go ahead and give it a coat of paint and see how it looks after. Now that the paint has had a couple days to cure, I think it looks quite good. Those of you who've watched my channel know that I'm usually not too into box art paint jobs, but the Graupner Pinto paint scheme is actually quite nice. I did omit the white body in favor of this this color here. I don't know how it's going to come in on camera, but this is called Cast Coat Iron. It is actually a high temp engine paint that I've chosen. It gives a very charcoal look to the paint. However, it has a considerable amount of copper in it, so it's a very, very warm color. I use this oftentimes on some of my grills, headlight doors, a lot of engine pieces because it's a very subtle color. It lasts forever. But I think on this, it gave the look that I wanted. As for the stickers, they came from MCI, no, RC10, Tyco Bandit, Ampro. Okay, so these are the decals that I'm going to use. They're beautiful. I really love the color combination. As usual, the quality from MCI is excellent. I really love working with them, so I'm excited to throw these on this car. So stay tuned. The next video will be a time lapse of the decals being applied, the detail put on, and the final clear coat, and we'll call Project Pointless over here a done deal. And again, a big thanks to Enjoy RC. A link to his Shapeways page is up right here, so please check that out when you have a moment. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.